Hey everybody, welcome to episode 135 of Is This Thing Working? Here we are Monday, ready to start the week. Let's get the week rolling, Denise. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great today, ready to be here with everybody on a Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We did. We did a lot of rest and relaxation.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Had a great weekend. Swam in the pool a little bit. Enjoyed the great weather finally for a change.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to get out. We went and visited some family and moved around a little bit and then kind of hung out here at the house.
Yep, we did. Had a great weekend. I hope y'all did too. But it's Monday. Time to wake up, man. And that kind of seems to be the theme of today's show is everybody needs to wake up. And we see this in our own country. People are starting to wake up. We've seen the things that have been going on. We've sat back and listened to the Garland hearings last week on the Hill. We sat back and listened to the Fauci hearings on the Hill.
Oh, that was pretty wild.
And that was pretty eye-opening, pretty waking up moment for a lot of people because they really getting to see that, hey, man, this shit was corrupt and it was a scam from the beginning. Our institutions and our governments are corrupt. We're tired of this. As a people, we in America are tired of this. We're fed up with it. But we're not the only place. And that's another good thing we're going to bring up and show you today, too, is, man, the world's waking up to it. If you paid any attention at all to the elections in the EU this past weekend, the people spoke up loud and clear, and people like Macron and the others, they're beginning to go, oh, shit.
Yeah, and that was pretty big.
Yes, it was.
Le Pen just blew it out of the road, and Macron just dissolved.
The people did, yep.
The
people did.
Legislator. We're going to get into that today.
But hey, before we start our show today, we want to state that these are our opinions alone. If you agree with us, you like our show, tell your friends and share our show. And if you don't agree with us, tell your friends, share the show. We love the debate.
Just find us.
Say something to us if you don't agree with
us. Always comment in the links below. We're out in podcast and we do a Rumble video that goes live every single Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Please download the Rumble app. We do go on to ScrewTube, but they tend to want to not listen to what we have to say. We've already got a strike on there just because I posted a reel on there and we got a strike. And we barely have anybody look at our stuff on there, and it's like, okay, whatever, we must be important all of a sudden. But anyway, you can view us on YouTube. But thank you very much for everything that you do. It's because of you that we do this. We want you to be informed and become engaged every single day.
Yep.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do this. Trump watch.
Always first. Always first.
Because we want you to vote for President Trump. And we give you the reasons why every single time. Hey, it's not about the man. He's a tool to get where we need to go.
We need to vote for policies.
That's it.
And that's what we're after, man, to get you to be informed about the policies and about the stances of each of these presidential candidates.
Yes.
And make your vote accordingly. That's all we ask is that you're informed when you go to the booth.
That's it. And President Trump this weekend talked all about policies. Now, if you were listening or you watching anything of this on social media, you saw the Biden campaign come out with all this conspiracy stuff around President Trump and everything, but that's what they do. That's noise. But he was in Nevada this past Sunday talking policy to the people. And he told the people there, I'm here for you. We are going to vote for these policies. We need you to vote for these policies. And he includes you in the room every single time. And he did that on Sunday. He talked about the waitresses and the people that get tips, how he wasn't going to tax tips. Now, in that area, it's very important. Most of those people that work there, that's their living. That's their money. And taxing tips is really wrong. I've thought it was wrong from the very beginning, seeing as how they don't even make that much minimum wage.
Yeah.
At all. I made $2.15 an hour.
Yeah.
Plus tips. So, you don't make anything.
No. And even with small tips, probably 9/10 of the money that you should have made throughout the day when you consider only $2.15 an hour and you sit there and you've worked
8 hours, sometimes 11 hours.
That's $16.
Yes.
You know, at least the best you would hope for is to come away with $100, $125 in tips every day. At least that makes it worth your time to be there. And then on top of that, they've already been taxing your tips too.
Yes.
At least with this, man, at least that puts more money back in your pocket.
It does. So President Trump is out there for the working man and woman every single day. So y'all listen to his policies and forget about the noise. Today, he meets virtually with his probation officer. Now, this is broke this morning or last night even, because the Democrats want to come out and call him criminal Trump.
Well, it's part of the process. He has to meet.
Well, I get all that, but they're just making a big deal out of it.
Sure,
it's,
they are.
like you said, it's just something he has to do. But in the interim, what is so confusing about all of this right now is because on Friday at 5 p.m. there was breaking news, and a letter from the Judge Merchan showed up all over social media.
Well, it was distributed by him.
It was distributed by him, and I have a tweet. Okay, I'm gonna call it a tweet from Brianna Morello, and she actually confirmed this. She said, "I just ran into President Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, backstage at the Reawaken American tour, and she confirmed this letter is real. This letter comes from Judge Juan Merchan. It claims that a family member of a juror posted, 'My cousin is a juror,' and says Trump is getting convicted, and thank you folks for all your hard work." And then she goes on to say this could be grounds for a mistrial potentially. So the letter itself does say exactly what she said. It says, "Dear counsel," he wrote this to President Trump's counsel. It says, "Today, the court became aware of a comment that was posted on the United Court System's public Facebook page, in which I now bring to your attention. In the comment, the user, Michael Anderson, states," and this is in quotes, "My cousin is a juror and says Trump is getting convicted. Thank you, folks, for all your hard work." And then he goes on to say, the judge does, "The comment, now labeled as 1 week old, responded to a routine UCS notice posted on May 29, 2024, regarding oral arguments in the 4th Department of the Appellate Division unrelated to the proceedings." So there you go, folks. That's the letter. So we're going to find out, I don't know when.
More about this.
It's going to come out. The mainstream media went nuts, coming up with all kinds of conspiracy theories. All we do is give you the facts. So we know about this letter. I guess soon we'll know if the council meets with the judge.
Yep. And so I guess the best thing in this to do is to use the Bongino rule and wait 3 days.
That's exactly what we're going to do, because that's what I did too. I posted it and let you be aware of it. Then I moved on. Everybody else just went nuts. But you know how that is. But they put it out at 5 o'clock in the evening. They wanted that to happen. They wanted conspiracy theories to come up. But one thing I will mention, and I thought that was everyone really should know, is this new Rasmussen poll that came out this morning. It pointed out that 65% of all voters show no measurable impact on President Trump being convicted in New York City for federal crimes. So, I think it's backfiring on them tremendously, and I am happy, which we knew this would. Because everyone knows that it's a bunch of bull malarkey.
Yeah, when you read the headline with that, 65% of all voters show no measurable impact. This could also read that the poll came out this morning that 65% of all voters realize that the trial was a sham and it means nothing to them one way or the other. They're going to vote the way they want to vote.
That's exactly right. And you want to know, 65% is a lot of people in America.
Well,
that's
sure it
a
is.
lot of people.
Yes, it
on
is.
Both sides. That's on both sides that say, "Hey, we know that ain't right, whether we vote for him or not." There was even another poll that came out this morning that polled Biden's people and said that only 25% are going to vote for him because they support him, and the rest are only going to vote for him because they don't support President Trump. Now, is that just crazy?
Right. Well, and
So I don't understand, but it's a Biden poll, so when they bring out polls, you just don't believe them. I don't. I have a hard time believing anything they put out. Also, everybody heard what happened to Steve Bannon last week, and on Saturday, he come out on fire. And we want you to listen to what he had to say.
Look at McCabe. You're a gutless coward sitting there wetting yourself on CNN. Be a man. Man up. You're so tough over the FBI when you control things. You ain't so tough now, are you, bro? Not so tough now, are you? Well, you ought to be damn worried of your crimes and Comey's crimes and the other people at the FBI. And now I'm just saying maybe it's a good time for some whistleblowers to come forward, start to expose the crimes. Make sure they say, hey, I had nothing to do with this. Here's what they're doing. The crimes of the FBI are manifest. The incompetence of the FBI is manifest. And Merrick Garland, you see him wetting himself every time he's out there for congressional testimony? And he bald-faced perjured himself the other day. When he's sitting there and expects adults, I said this in the speech yesterday, the reason was, like Amber Rose said, you didn't have access to information anymore. She says it perfectly. Hey, this is propaganda. We've been believing propaganda, but now we see what we see. This is exactly the crowd yesterday in Powhatan, Virginia. This is the crowd at the Bodega Run. This is the crowd in the South Bronx. This is the crowd at the 600. What's the commonality to all of it? There's one common denominator. None of you, whether you're black, Hispanic, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, none of you are at the table. The ruling class runs the deal, and you're not in the deal, not in the room, not in the deal. You're a nobody. You have no power. Trump not just puts you in the room, he puts you at the head of the table. That's why they hate him, and that's why they must destroy him. That's why Trump's the target. Trump's the target because they believe he's a class traitor to the ruling class. That's why they detest him and despise him. McCabe, the earth ain't big enough for you to hide from us, bro. You're going to be held accountable. You, Comey, and that entire clique over there, Lisa Monaco, Merrick Garland, all of them. Throw in Eric Holder. You're all going to be held accountable for your crimes against the people of the United States of America.
Wow, that's exactly right.
That's exactly why they're scared.
They're very scared. They're scared because President Trump, everyone I know, you heard him on Hannity last week. He was on Dr. Phil also, talking about, and all they kept asking is, what are you going to do? Are you going to have revenge? Are you retribution or whatever? Yes.
Yep. And the government's scared of him. And I'm not talking about just the Democrat Party, just the ones that Bannon mentioned. You know, they're all scared. They're all scared of him, and that's a lot of the reason why Thomas Massie felt the need to, hey, man, let's solve this, because once again, you're going to try to throw somebody in jail over something that isn't that big of a deal. The man is standing up for his own freedom of speech, but Bannon also helps to expose all the dirtiness and the corruption and it goes on in the House.
Yes, and, you know, he pushes the posse, which that's who we are part of. He pushes us to stand up and take back your country. Representative Tom Massie from Kentucky, he offers a solution to stop Steve Bannon's imprisonment. But he does say it is up to Mike Johnson, and it is totally up to Mike Johnson. And this is what we're doing today, posse. You need to help us out by calling your representatives today. It's very important. It's been on my calendar ever since Friday that is what we're going to do, because we need the people to step up in the House and to finally start doing something. And one of those is to get rid of this witch hunt that they've gone after Bannon to.
The same as they've done
President Trump. He says, Representative Thomas Massie, he stepped forward with a proposition that could potentially halt Steve Bannon's impending imprisonment. His plan involves urging Speaker Mike Johnson to rescind the congressional subpoena issued against Bannon and to formally disavow what he refers to as the January 6th witch hunt.
Yeah, it goes on to say this development follows a recent decision by a D.C. judge denying Bannon's appeal, mandating him to surrender to prison by July 1st, which we reported on last week.
Yes.
And that's why Bannon's so fired up continually, is because the fact that
this is another way that they have weaponized the government and used that January 6th committee, which we have found out was illegal. And something came out this morning that I had totally forgotten about. Senator Rand Paul had put out a tweet back in 2020 saying, hey, we should not dissolve the January 6th committee until we took care of Bannon and Navarro and all of the people that they tried to, weaponize the January 6th committee against. And guess what? They went ahead and dissolved the January 6th committee anyway. Representative Massey came out and answered him this morning and said, hey, we can still do this. We can still vote to get rid of these subpoenas.
Right.
So let's see if it happens. So we really need you to contact your congressperson immediately. Here in East Texas, that's going to be Pete Sessions. And, he doesn't like to listen to you. But, if you call, the more people call, I have noticed he does listen. So please pick up the phone and make a phone call on that. We'd appreciate that.
Today, our sponsor is Brickhouse Nutrition. And one of the great products that Brickhouse Nutrition has is Field of Greens, your daily dose of vibrant nutrition, packed with organic greens, fruits, and vegetables. Each scoop delivers essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Simply mix with water or add to your favorite smoothie for a refreshing boost of vitality. Fuel your body with the goodness it craves. Experience the power of Field of Greens and thrive every day.
I love Field of Greens. I have some myself. I use it every single day. It gives me energy. After I get through drinking my coffee, of course, I have a green drink, and I love it, and I put it in my green drink. It's part of it, and they have different flavors. I have the wild berry, so check them out. Thank you to our sponsors and for you for clicking on the link below. Get you some Field of Greens. You'll feel better for it.
It's www.brickhousenutrition.com.
We're going to stay on the topic of January 6th for another moment.
Stay on the topic of who else that need to be aware that they're coming after you come November the 5th is General Milley.
That's exactly right. He's another one that needs to be investigated for the crimes he committed, don't you think?
You bet. You bet he does. This comes from an article from Declassify with Julie Kelly. It's an article that Julie posted on here. It's from a writer, Haley McLean. And this is what she wrote. She said, in the days and weeks leading up to January 6th, the nation's highest-ranking military officer, then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, was moving in lockstep with the political anxieties of top Democrat leaders. These Democrats grew anxious as over 140 House Republicans planned to contest the election results during the Electoral College certification that day. Milley was then deeply engaged with a circle of confidants, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat leader Chuck Schumer, former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice, and former Defense Secretary Robert Gates, among others, all who shared a unified disdain for President Trump. And at the House Oversight Committee in April, addressing the 3-hour, 19-minute delay in mobilizing the D.C. National Guard on January 6th, Colonel Earl Matthews, one of the 4 DOD witnesses, testified about an irrational fear among a clique of senior military officers concerning the potential misuse of the National Guard by the president. He indicated that these concerns were influenced behind the scenes by Milley, who often made disparaging remarks about the president and regularly referred to his fear of a so-called potential Reichstag moment. This is what is crazy, and this is why this is the crime he committed. Because he was sitting here willing to fight against and disobey a lawful order by the commander-in-chief. This has nothing to do with President Trump. This has everything to do with the fact that he took an oath to defend the Constitution and go by what the commander-in-chief said.
That's right.
And obey the orders of the commander-in-chief. If the commander-in-chief was ready to send in the National Guard, which would have been a lawful order, Milley had absolutely no grounds to do that, and if he worked against that interest, then that's considered what? Treason.
That's exactly right. But you know what they wanted was for him to do that. They absolutely wanted an insurrection. They wanted President Trump to do an insurrection. That's why January 6th went off like it did.
Exactly, but Milley didn't want to be caught up in it.
No, he didn't.
But he wanted to do the fighting.
That's
he
exactly
wanted to
right.
do it covertly.
And he says in here, he says he considered resigning in the summer of 2020 during the height of the George Floyd riots. Milley ultimately decided against it. And he said, F that shit. Now, he said the words out there. He told his staff. He said, I'll just fight him. Despite assurances to confidants that he would never openly defy the president, a move he considered illegal. Of course he considered it illegal because it was. He was determined to plant flags Milley envisioned a scenario involving either a declaration of martial law or a presidential invocation of the Insurrection Act, with Trumpian brown shirts fomenting violence.
Yep. It goes on to say, embodying a self-styled narrative of heroic defiance. Milley was prepared to face severe consequences to counter what he perceived as a grave threat. Was he? Is he? Is he ready to face those perceived threats?
He says so right here.
Or I'm sorry, not to face severe threats, but to face severe consequences. Is he ready for that? Because it's coming. But he said, if they want to court-martial me or put me in prison, have at it, Milley told his staff, but I will fight from the inside. He also saw himself as tasked with safeguarding against Trump and his people from potentially misusing the military, something he confided in a trusted confidant to ensure he remained true to his plan. I have 4 tasks from now on until the 20th of January, he affirmed, and I'm going to accomplish my mission.
Out of control.
There you go. To me, that's treason. To me, I hope he's one of the first people after November the 5th that has to stand before a criminal trial.
Me too. So he's on the list.
One of the first.
He's definitely on the list. And we're going to make sure that he stays on the list.
Hey, while we're talking about lists, let's get off a rant about General Milley and about the corruption in our own government.
That's
and
right.
We told you that people are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
We told you about we need to wake up. And this just helps confirm to you that, hey, if you're seeing what you're seeing and you're waking up, man, you're not alone. Because this weekend in the EU, we had some shaking up and some waking up going on.
We were so excited. We watched that. And we did watch that all happen this weekend. It was great. Today is the start of a new era in Europe.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, and Wokeness gave us a list here. This is pretty cool. France, their national rally wins a historic 31.5% of the EU vote, forcing Macron to dissolve the national parliament.
This is big.
This is real huge. Germany, the AfD, or the Alternative for Germany, surges to become the second largest party. Liberal parties tank in Germany. In Belgium, the prime minister resigns after his crushing defeat against the right.
Oh, and ain't he the one that was crying?
Yeah. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni's brother of Italy wins in a historic landslide. In Austria, the FPO doubles their seats and becomes the largest party in the nation. In Spain, the right beating the left by 10%. And in Luxembourg, the first ever seat for the ADR, which is the Alternative Democratic Reform Party.
And the list goes on and on. I seen one from Dublin this morning also. So Dublin is in there. They won.
Yep.
Also, so the right is standing up.
Yep.
People, the right is standing up. They're the common sense people.
People are
they
waking
just
up.
want their country back.
People are waking up. It's awesome.
It is very awesome. We're very proud for everybody over there in Europe, man. They stood up. And coming soon, here we go, Trump landslide. There you go. Reform UK to win millions of votes. And then Nigel Farage elected the UK Parliament. This is our goals, folks.
And it's worldwide,
it's
man.
It's worldwide.
People are tired of oppressive governments, tyrannical governments.
I mean,
people
look at
are
what
tired
they're
of the
doing to
weaponization
us.
in our.
They're taking our food supplies away, and you see on a daily basis our chickens, our eggs are being blown up, fires happening. When they take away your food, folks, you just have no way to feed yourself but to go to the government.
Well, it's what they tried that in Europe over there too, and they tried that with the farmers and taking away the nitrogen. But look, you see what happens, and that's what we continue to say. And I want people to understand there's strength in numbers, people. There's strength in numbers.
There is, and one of the main reasons that this is happening is illegal immigrants. People know that they're being replaced right now.
Yeah, and they're sick of that. That's what I was going to say. People are sick of the inflation, like you just talked about, them being able to control food prices the way that they do. They're sick of that. They're sick of the DEI crap. They're sick of the LGBTQ crap. They're sick of the immigration, the open borders that everybody has, man. And I don't blame them at all. And these votes are showing you in the European Union that they're tired of it too. Wake up, people. Me and you talked about this earlier, is the fact that just the citizens of the country, Germany first, France first, America first. What we want is our country back. We want American values in our country. And if you come over here, you need to assimilate to American values and become American. Don't you dare come over here and demand that I assimilate to yours. Don't you dare. You had a country. Go back over there. And that's the voice. That's what people are saying over there, man.
And what really gets me, you know, James, you've brought this up many times, is Germany. If I want to go to Germany to visit, I want to go to Germany to visit Germans.
And look at their culture and learn at their culture and appreciate their culture.
Yes, I mean, I use Germany as an example, but there's so many others, like Mexico. Americans have gone to Mexico to their beaches as tourism spot for years, and now we don't even want to go. I mean,
well, because of the cartel and because of the damage that's been done with all of that.
So much has happened to these countries, and it's crazy because people, you know, they like to go to Puerto Rico. They, you know, love the beaches all over the place, and you know, to go to France and Paris and all of those. I mean, those are cultural norms that we have always known that we could go and visit, and it be that.
Exactly, I get that. And that's what those other countries are wanting too.
Yes.
And Mexico wants the same, as has been shown through all the stuff that they had go on last week too, with the election of their new Jewish female president. Yeah, and the people are there again too. The people realize, hey man, there's strength in numbers, and we want what's ours. We want our country back. We're standing up against that, and that's what we as Americans continue to have to push and do. Stand up, man.
That's it. And one of the places we need to stand up is at our border. And you know, this came out just this weekend also. This Biden border order that he all of a sudden has out here for us to, you know, like it's new or something.
His new border executive order.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Bill Maloogian did a great piece on this. And this says new. It says Fox News has obtained an internal Border Patrol memo sent to agents in San Diego sector after President Biden's executive order took effect, instructing them to release single adults from all but 6 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere and classifying them as hard or very hard to remove. Specifically, this memo instructs agents to process all single adults from 100-plus countries in the Eastern Hemisphere as notice to appear or release on your own recognizance, except for 6 countries which are deemed mandatory referral. Countries like Uzbekistan, Russia, Tajikistan, Georgia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan. President Biden and the DHS promised consequences and removal for those who cross illegally between ports of entry after the executive order took effect. But the overwhelming majority of illegal crossers in San Diego sector, including the Chinese, Middle Eastern, Africans that we've been showing, are all still being released into the U.S. with future court dates, as our coverage has shown repeatedly with Border Patrol mass releases at a trolley station in San Diego.
But listen to our Texas governor talk about Biden lies about the border. Here he goes.
It has apprehended more than 500,000 illegals with more than 43,000 criminal arrests and 38,000 felony charges. Texas has also seized more than 488 million lethal doses of fentanyl, now the leading cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 49. Joining me right now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, who has been leading the charge to protect America's border since the Biden administration unwound President Trump's border security. The governor joins me now with the latest on Biden's border order. Governor, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Maria.
Can you give us an update? Have you seen any change at the border since Joe Biden came out with an executive order?
None whatsoever. Listen, people need to understand that what Biden has done, he's not doing anything to actually secure the border. In fact, it's the opposite, because he's actually authorizing more people to cross the border illegally. And think about this, when you get to that 2,500 number of people crossing the border a day that he says he will allow, but only then stop the asylum process, when he stops the asylum process, there's nothing that Biden is doing that actually is preventing anybody else from crossing the border. There's no type of enforcement mechanism in place. And so as long as the Biden administration refuses to provide any type of enforcement, any type of blockage of people crossing illegally, all this new Biden policy is going to do is to actually attract and invite even more people to cross the border illegally. And you've seen on videos, ever since the Biden order went into place, there's no slowing down of people crossing the border. In fact, it's just accelerating. And so this is gaslighting our fellow Americans when Biden gets up and says this is going to stop people from coming across the border, when he says it's going to secure the border. In fact, it is making the border illegal crossings worse.
Unbelievable. And the fact that he does it 5 months before an election to try to...
Yeah, it's all performative. They're doing exactly what they've done before. Now they just have it written down on paper, which is what they exactly wanted that bill to go through to do this. But no one is speaking about how much money this is costing us and continues to cost us every single day at the border. You know, but what I found was interesting this morning is a new poll came out from cbsnews.ugov, and it says the majority of registered voters, 62% of them, including most Hispanics, would support a national program to deport illegal aliens from the United States. Yeah, so I found that was kind of wild.
Yeah, and that goes back to the waking up thing that I was talking about earlier. You look at how the policies that the EU voted on, and they overwhelmingly support deportation. Overwhelmingly. Our polls are showing that we do too.
We're going to end up on a very proud of Texas moment that we wanted to say that Governor Abbott was on Maria yesterday talking about a new Texas stock exchange. This would be very interesting. Listen to what he had to say about it.
Quite positive, and that's why so many businesses are incorporating in Texas. Now the state planning on a Texas stock exchange to compete with the New York Stock Exchange.
Sure. Listen, for the entirety of the century that we're in right now, Texas has become the epicenter for the American economy. We rank number one for new jobs added, number one for economic development, new projects for 11 years. We have Fortune 500 companies flocking to the state of Texas, including their headquarters, and CEOs have said that Texas is the best state for doing business for 20 years. And so with Texas, we are now the epicenter in the United States for capital, and now we seek to expand that by becoming the epicenter for capital markets.
All right, well, we'll be watching. You're doing it all, Governor. It's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much, sir.
Proud of Texas moment.
And, hey, we always ask every day, is this thing working? Hey, let me tell you something. With Governor Abbott and this move right here, I think you can answer the question. This thing is working. This is going to be good. This is going to be good for Texas, and it's going to be good for everybody.
Yes, and that's what we're doing. We're building a parallel economy, and we're all part of it. Rise up with us.
Yep. Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
And we'll see you next time.
We're out.